Hello friends, in this video we are going to learn the Philidor's defense. When you are playing rook endgame, many times you will find yourself in this position. Both sides have a rook and your opponent has an extra pawn. It looks like that you are going to lose the game because of the extra pawn. But if you know the Philidor's defense, then you can draw the game. What is the Philidor's defense? Basically, we put our rook on the third rank and it is also known as a third rank defense, and we keep our king in front of the pawn. When we play rook to a3 and put our rook on the third rank, our idea is that we don't want to allow black to come forward with his king. That's it. Our rook will not allow black king to come forward and black cannot make any progress. If black rooks give check, then we can just go king e2. Sooner or later, black will be forced to push the pawn. And when black pushes the pawn, then we go to the last rank, and from the last rank, we start giving these checks to the opponent's king. This defensive mechanism is known as the Philidor's defense. Let's see it in this example. Here, black gives a check. White plays king to e2. We want to keep our king in the same file as of the pawn, so that if the rooks are exchanged, then we can easily block this pawn with our king. Black gives another check. We play king to e1. Giving this check, black is not making any progress, because white is simply putting his king on e1 and e2. So black plays rook to b2. Black gives a waiting move. If black gives a waiting move, then we can also give a waiting move. We just need to keep our rook on the third rank. That's it. Black gives another waiting move. White gives another waiting move. Black plays rook to c2 and we keep our rook on the third rank. That's all we have to do. Now black gets tired of making the waiting move. Now black will either push the pawn forward or black will try to exchange the rooks. First, let's see what happens if black tries to exchange the rooks. Then we simply exchange the rook first. King takes it and now we push the pawn forward. King to d4 and now we take the opposition and the game is a draw. In the pawn ending section, we have already seen how to draw this position. And this is the reason why we want to keep our king in the same file as of the pawn. We want to keep our king as close as possible to this pawn, so that when the rooks are exchanged, we can easily block this pawn. Black pushes the pawn, we play king e2, then we just come back, and if black plays this move, then we again take the opposition. And then it's a stalemate, and the game is a draw. Let's go back. Instead of playing rook to c3 and exchanging the rook, black can also try to play pawn to e3, and once black has pushed his pawn to the e3, black is threatening to play king to d3. Now black is able to play king to d3, and in the next move black will play rook to c1 and checkmate us. So it is important to immediately play rook to h8, put our rook on the last rank. And the idea is, when black plays king to d3, comes forward with his king, then we give checks from the behind. Rook to d8 check, king e4, rook check, and black's king cannot hide. There is no space for black king to hide. King g3, checks. We keep giving these checks and the game will eventually be a draw. Now black can try to use this zigzag technique to come toward this rook. But the problem is, let's say black plays king to e5, then after this check, black cannot come here because of this rook cross e3 move. So black has to protect the pawn. We give another check, king to e4, check, check, and the game is a draw. Now let's look at the Philidor's defense from the black's perspective. In this position, we are black and our opponent has an extra pawn. White wants to play pawn to d8 and make a queen, but we can stop it. All we have to do is to keep our rook on the 6th rank. When we are white, we want to keep our rook on the 3rd rank, and when we are black, we want to keep our rook on the 6th rank. And we want to keep our king in front of the pawn. So we play rook to g6. White plays rook to a7 check. We don't worry about this check because we can easily play king d8. Rook check, king d7, rook check, king to d8. And white realizes that by giving these checks, white is not going to achieve anything. So white pushes his pawn forward. Now we simply wait. We keep our rook on the 6th rank. We are waiting for white to push his pawn to the 6th rank. As soon as white pushes the pawn to the 6th rank, we go back to the last rank and start giving checks from the behind. White plays king to d4. We just maintain our rook on the 6th rank. Just play rook to b6. White plays rook to f7. We just maintain our rook on the 6th rank and keep our king in front of the pawn. Now white plays rook to f6. White is trying to exchange this rook so that his king can come forward. We exchange this rook and then immediately play king to d7 to attack this pawn. White plays king to e5 and now we take the opposition. And we have already seen this ends in a draw. Let's go back. In this position, white can also play pawn to d6. White wants to play king to e6, come forward with his king and then checkmate us. So whenever white pushes his pawn to the 6th rank, what we do? We immediately go back to the last rank and then give check from the behind. White plays king to e6 and we start giving checks from the behind. So the game ends in a draw. There is no way for white to avoid these checks. It's just a draw. Now let's try to play against the computer and try to defend the position. In this position I am white and I am going to play against Stockfish level 8. My opponent has an extra pawn and I will try to defend this position using the Philidor's defense. I want to keep my rook on the 3rd rank and keep my king on this same file. Black is just moving his rook here and there and all I have to do is to keep our rook on the 3rd rank. Black gives a check. Just keep the rook on the 3rd rank. Keep the rook on the 3rd rank. And when black gives a check, we just save it. Keep the rook on the 3rd rank. Okay, maybe black is just trying to do something. It's okay, we just need to keep our rook on the 3rd rank. White okay, black is just going here and there. We just keep our rook on the 3rd rank. Okay, black gives a check. We save it. Black gives another check. We save it. Looks like the game is going to end in a perpetual, but no. Black plays a different move. He wants to come from this side. But it's okay, we just need to keep our rook on the 3rd rank and keep the king in the same file. Okay, these checks are harmless. Black cannot achieve anything from these checks. And pretty soon the game will be a draw. After 50 moves, there is a rule of 50 moves. If no pawn move happens or any piece exchange happens, the game ends in a draw in 50 moves. Most likely, my opponent is going to push the pawn now. Yeah, and whenever my opponent pushes the pawn and comes to the 3rd rank, what we do? We go back. All we have to do is to give checks from the behind and the game will be a draw. Keep giving these checks. We have to keep giving these checks. And my opponent just let me capture the pawn. And the game is a draw. That's it. I hope now you can confidently draw the game using the Philidor's defense. See you in the next video.